Awesome. And welcome to another episode of Pryce on Purpose. Of course, I am your host, Stacey Pryce, and I am joined today with the awesome Barbara Faison, but we're going to call her Auntie Barbara today. How are you doing, Auntie Barbara?
I am fantastic, Nisi. How are you?
I am good. I am good. Oh my goodness. So I'm learning here. I'm looking at your description of what you do. So I want to start off first by saying that you are a meditation mixologist.
You like that, huh?
Yeah, I was like, I've seen a couple of mixologists and it doesn't involve meditation.
Well, I came up with that because, first of all, I have to start with I'm an Aquarian, so that's going to give you a little insight if you know anything about zodiac signs.
Oh, I got a couple of people. My sister's an Aquarian.
Yeah. So, sometimes, don't beat me up, Aquarius. Sometimes we like to do the most.
Okay.
As the young people say.
Tell me more.
And so I get bored pretty easily. I always have been. So I'm a boomer with a lot of millennial in me. So I was doing I don't want to work here for too long, way back 30 years ago, right?
Okay.
So I did 30 something years in corporate, but it was not in one place. It was in various places because
Roger that.
I knew I wanted to do different things.
Yeah.
So I know my personality. And as I started studying meditation, I realized that it was important that I have a variety of things. So when I do I do a daily online meditation plug on Facebook.
Yes.
And I know that when I first started, I couldn't sit still for 30 minutes, even though we don't meditate for 30 minutes. So over the years, I've studied a lot of different things. I've studied Qigong and Tai Chi and all these different things. So I mix what I've learned. I've learned how to use your voice through sound vibration. I've learned how to do Qigong and how to do Tai Chi and how to use your hands and your movements with breath. So that's why I'm a mixologist, because in our 10 minutes that we do meditate, or it's about 20 by the time we get into it, we're doing different things. We're doing mindfulness. We're doing a little bit of breath work. We're doing some things from Qigong. So that's why I say it's a mixologist. And when I do live meditations, I say, let me warn you, if you're looking for someone who's just going to be just sit and breathe the whole time, I'm not going to satisfy that need. So you may want to go someplace else because that's not what I do. So that's how the mixologist came up, because it's like, well, it's a mixologist. You mix different things.
Yeah.
And you come up with the formula that works for you. So,
that's awesome. I love it. I love hearing that you're making it your own and you're sharing that. And I'm pretty sure you're connecting with people, because I love that energy already.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm always amazed because we're meditating at 6:30 to 7 is that window.
Yeah.
And anywhere between 15 and 30 people join me, which I'm still in awe that people are up at 6:30 in the morning, myself included, doing some doggone meditation. It's like one of those, how did I get here? This is not where I was thinking I would be, but you follow.
Isn't that interesting? The path, like you don't even know when it's coming, and all of a sudden you're just sitting there like, what happened the last 10 years?
Exactly. I've been doing this online on Facebook since August 30th, 2018. Have not missed a day.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, and I pat myself on the back because as an Aquarian, that is an accomplishment, girl. Because you can go, I'm going to the next flower. I'm done with this flower. Let me go to the next flower. So I pat myself on the back every day and go, I'm still doing this thing here.
Yes. It's serving you, and clearly it's serving other people. And I think that's the beautiful thing. Like, even for me, like sometimes I think about, now I'm like pushing my blog more, pushing my brand more. And to even hear me say that is kind of weird. I'm like, I'm the person that used to just come home, video games, repeat, like, 9 to 5, video games, repeat. Like that was my life. And, I had this awakening at one point and I started doing this show, and the things that I thought were just hobbies became my life.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing like other people connect to it. And I'm like, you sure you're in the right place?
Right.
You sure?
Yeah. You're connecting with what I call your tags, your talents, abilities, gifts, and skills.
Ooh, come on with the acronym.
I love it. It keeps me sane. Yeah. It's like when we connect with what our talents are, our abilities, our gifts, and our skills, right? Because we may not it depends on where those are. And usually look back to when we were a child, since we talk about purpose. I know you're talking about purpose.
Yeah.
You look back when you were a child, my dad, when he was interviewed, when I was doing my book, he said, she was always very verbal. Go figure. Now I'm using my voice in this way, right? So,
Absolutely.
and so it's important that we do that, because I use the analogy, if you think of the world as like a cosmic jigsaw puzzle, you think about a puzzle, right? And if I'm a part of the sky, but I'm trying to fit in down in the earth, that's going to work, right?
Absolutely.
So I believe we're here to figure out where we fit in this cosmic jigsaw puzzle. So you're doing what you're doing, but it does not preclude other people from doing what they do, because we can have hundreds of people talking about purpose.
Exactly.
You'll get hundreds of responses of what purpose is, right? And why do we do a purpose, and do we even need to find a purpose? All of that. So it's interesting, when we
that's the word. It's like
when we learn to just settle and not always have to do and go. We can just be. Yeah. It's like
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful journey. I'll say that.
Yes,
it's a beautiful journey.
And I applaud you for realizing I'm doing video games from 9 to 5. That ain't working out so well,
Right.
It's purposeful, because then it spurred you into doing something different. But there are plenty of people that's like, well, what's the problem with that?
Exactly.
And there's no problem with it, because maybe you came here to do that. And
exactly.
Maybe you will do something in the video game arena that we would never even thought of, because you did that, right?
Yeah, it did open a new world for me with the video games, and I had to also realize why. I had that moment. I feel like I'm doing free promo for this guy, because I always mention his book. Have you read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle?
I've read bits and pieces of it. Yeah. Well,
bits and pieces.
Trust me, you're not the only one saying stuff about Eckhart Tolle. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many like common books on like life and things like that. So I always bring it up because that was my pivot in life, from, going from the video game world into this world. And I had to ask myself, like, what is it serving me? Like, I had to sit down and actually like, sometimes we look at people like, you talking to yourself? Like, it's actually good. It's actually healthy.
You better talk to yourself.
Yeah. It's very healthy. You got to connect with who you are, Yeah. And I had to realize, like, is it serving my purpose? Like, what is it? And what is my purpose?
Right.
And that's when I started, getting on this creative path of finding out who I was. And just like you said, like in that puzzle, I had to find out where does my puzzle piece fit? Am I sky? Am I earth? Am I air? Am I water? Is Captain Planet for me? Like things like that,
Yeah.
So I want to learn more also about, because you said you use your voice, in meditation. So you're also a voice actress.
Yes. And again, going way back to being a little itty bitty girl, I was always involved. I was always that kid that was in church in the oratorical contest. I don't know if they still have that now, but back in the day, I was always doing the oratorical contest. So and I did theater in high school.
Okay.
I did theater in high school. Then kind of the quick journey was, after I graduated high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was going to do this engineering thing, because back then, in the 80s, they needed Black people in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. In 2020, they still need Black people in STEM, right? And so it's like back then,
hasn't changed.
was the beginning of me kind of doing this journey. It's like, well, I know I got to get out and get a job. So I did study. And so when I was in college, because it was engineering, I went to Tuskegee. It was electrical engineering. I didn't have time to do any of that stuff like theater, because, I was studying and trying to pass my classes. But when I graduated, I went to work for IBM in Tampa. Okay. And I love how these dots connect, right? When we take the time to reflect back. So one of the ladies, so back in think like 1984, 86.
I was one.
Right. Yeah. So thank you for that reminder, Sadie.
It was a good year.
think, just imagine. So in 1986, I was
Mhm.
one of the few African American women that worked for
Mm.
IBM in
Mhm.
something called systems engineering. So what they
Mhm.
would do is they would have us come into the branch office. We learn all this stuff about computers. Then we go to Dallas for 6 weeks, study, do all kinds of presentations, learn more about their equipment and services, come back to the office, study some more. It really was. Someone once told me, it's like, that's like a master's degree program, right? It's like an MBA. I never even dawned
Mm.
on me until they said that. I'm like, yeah, because it was a year-long program. All we did was study, research, present, study, research, present. So
Mm.
when I went to Tampa for IBM, one of the ladies in the program, another African American woman from Tampa, was a
Mm.
singer. She
Mm.
also was an actress and she was involved with the local theater company. So I got
Mm.
involved with local theater. And so I did local theater when I was
Interesting.
in Tampa. So that was my balance from, the corporate thing of, you get out there and you realize, oh, this working thing is really not all what it's cracked up to be as an adult
Mm.
at work, right? So it was
Mm.
my balance. So I did theater and
Mm.
actually did theater quite well. And then our theater director encouraged us to go ahead and get headshots and start trying to audition and all this kind of stuff. And, I look back on that and go, at the time, I was like, why am I doing all of this? And then my brother would ask me, so when I left Tampa and moved here, he said, well, why
Right.
don't you just go on and try to go to Hollywood? And I'm like, I don't care about it that much. You know what I mean? That's the appeal in me. It's like, I enjoy doing it. It helps me feed my creativity, but
Right.
I'm not trying to necessarily, do that.
Yeah.
So I got into doing theater then. So when I moved here, so I went from Tampa, I
Mhm.
moved here, left IBM, left the corporate life, ended up back in corporate life for a little while, but I was always dibbling and dabbling. I was dealing with the local Black independent filmmakers. Now keep
Mm.
back in mind, we had no internet in 1980 anything.
Right.
If we did, it was only people in education. It wasn't like it is now.
Right.
So you literally had to go get something called the creative loafing and look up in the newspaper
Mm.
what was going on to even be
Mm.
involved. So you had to take those extra steps to say, oh, I want to work with some independent Black filmmakers and to find out that there were film festivals. So that's how I got involved. So I kind of was always using my voice, but the story behind how I got back into using my voice, I did some voice work back then. One
Mm.
of the guys was doing something called History on Video, and so I did some recordings of like Ida B. Wells, Charles Drew, whatever. Did not know, not even thinking about it as a voice acting thing because I don't think
Mhm.
back then it was really. It was probably called voice acting, but people were always into the acting thing.
Mhm.
So I fast forward, I'm working in corporate, I'm working at Pryce Waterhouse Coopers. My mom comes to live with me, then she subsequently transitions on. And I'm just
Mm.
kind of like, I am just so sick of all of this. And,
Mm.
into a certain age in life anywhere, it's like, when do I get to just not do stuff I don't want to do? Is there a point in life to do that?
Good question.
And it wasn't hard. Trust me, it was not a horrible life.
Right.
All, but
Right.
you get to a point, it's like, man, I'm just kind of, I'm doing this, doing this, doing this. And
It's like you're
so
in a wheel.
it's, yeah, I think
Mm.
Shirley MacLaine is the one that says the problem about being in the rat race is when you get out of the race, you're still a rat.
Mm. Oh my God.
Yeah, when you think about it that way. But I tell you what I learned through the process is that I met
Mhm.
some great people in
Mm.
all of those experiences, right? People
Absolutely.
that I'm still connected with.
Awesome.
And when I learned, since we're talking about purpose, that my purpose is to connect with what it is I'm supposed to do, my talents, abilities, gifts, and skills, and to
Mm.
bring that wherever I go, to take that wherever I go. Whenever
Right.
I show up as me.
Yeah.
I am who I am. Auntie Barbara, whoever, whatever the name is that I'm being called at that particular time. And so being on purpose, you never know. When I sat next to a young lady who was an intern from Clark, Atlanta,
Yeah.
and then she got to call me when she had something going on. That
Mhm.
was the reason I was in that place, right? That's why I was planted
Mhm.
there, even though I'm like, why in the heck am I over here? You know, so, when we look back and we do that. So
Yeah.
fast forward, I went through the whole, corporate goes through transitions and changes.
Mhm.
And I just, it was time for me to move on and do something different. And so I had moved on, had left Pryce Waterhouse Coopers, PwC. Great experience, met some wonderful people, still stay connected to some of them. And my neighbor, I got married in 2014. My neighbor that lived where we lived at the time, we were chatting one day and she said, Barbara, have you ever thought about doing voice acting? And she's an actor. She's like about to turn 85. And I was like, oh, and her name is Barbara. I'm like, well, I kind of looked at it. Yeah, Barbara Square, 2 Barbers. That's a lot of Barbara.
Yeah.
And I have learned to listen.
Yes.
Like, okay. So I was talking to my husband. I said, well, baby, he said, well, maybe it's time for you to get back into your creative thing, Barbara. He said, you're kind of on sabbatical, right? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Because I wasn't working at the time. I was trying to figure out what my next thing was going to be. And I said, well, okay. So she gave me the name of a coach. And then I reached out to someone else that I knew had started doing voice acting. And I had my little conversation with God. I said, listen, God, now, if this is something I'm supposed to pursue, you have to hit me upside the head. You can't do no little drop. I have to be like,
yeah.
Right. And so I reached out to one of the coaches and she said, well, how I coach is I have you come watch me coach someone. Because it's not the typical, well, you pay me an hourly, you pay me for a period of time, but you watch me coach to see if this is a style, because everybody doesn't like that style of coaching.
Right.
So I'm living in Jonesboro. I drive up to Marietta to go meet her. And I'm having a conversation with God. I'm like, okay, let me know if this is something I need to pursue. Because, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Because, I've been doing corporate for 30 years and I'm used to having something to do, having tasks and things to do and outcomes. And now it's like, okay, all right, what do I do with my time? And so when I got there, the first thing she said was, Barbara, I just got an audition for an African-American woman over 50. Do you want to do the audition? I was like, yeah. She said, I'll coach you through it. So I watched her coach this guy. Then she coaches me. That was Friday. Monday, I got an email from her and the guy. She sent the file over and he said, I love her voice. I would love to have her audition, have her come in. When can she record? I was in Tuesday. In 15 minutes, I was in and out of the recording. And I was like, oh, okay. Guess I'm supposed to kind of pursue this, huh? So I did. I pursued it. And that's the long story of how I got into voiceover. And so
I love it.
Yeah. And so now I do that. That's kind of my second, third wave of life experience stuff that I do while I'm here on this planet.
Yeah.
And so I get to use my voice to heal, educate, inspire, and whatever comes up that I feel like I'm a fit for.
Yeah, it's so interesting how these little blips happen in our journey, and it's just like, I don't know. So is this a sign? Like,
right?
Do this.
It probably is a sign. If you think it's a sign,
it's so true. It's so true. It's so interesting how everything kind of just like comes full circle. You meeting certain people. This person's connected to this person. You moved here. This person just appears.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. It's amazing.
It's so
and I
funny.
just rewatched the movie City of Angels yesterday. A couple days ago. It takes me a couple days to watch stuff because I rarely sit down and watch.
Attention span. You're like,
yeah,
I'll come back to this.
Yeah. Oh, I got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. But it's such a good movie because it really, I don't know if you've ever seen it with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan. It really is about angels and how these people that you don't even know show up randomly. And yeah, it's really good. And I had always liked the movie and I wanted to go back with my new brain and watch it with a different perspective. And I loved it just as much because I'm like, man, that is so true. It's
like how you said that with your new brain, because I do that too. Like I'll rewatch a movie or reread a book because sometimes, when you're in a certain mindset or awareness state, like you may not capture everything. And then when you go back and watch, you're like, oh, I didn't notice that. That cup was in the background. That was a little foreshadowing. I didn't know he was going to take the cup.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because you're looking at it with different eyes. That's the beautiful thing. I share in meditation all the time is that every moment is a new moment. We have 86,400 moments in a day. you know.
How many?
86,400. That's how many seconds are in a day. Yeah.
Where
But
we at?
we're asleep some of that. We're asleep some. This is 50 something thousand. And that's why it's good to learn to come back to right now because, we stress because we're thinking either too far ahead about stuff that makes us anxious, or we're dwelling on the past, which we can do absolutely nothing about.
Yes.
We can time travel to the past. So stop it, learning to be mindful and tune into your senses helps you stay in the present, which is why it's like, let me come back to my senses. Yeah. Come back to your sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch.
I like that.
And that,
right.
Yeah.
Noted. Come back
to you. I have a meditation. It's called SHITS. Sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch. Listen, I have to have them. I have to have them, Stacey.
I love it.
Yeah. I just you have to have easy ways to remember stuff.
Yes,
it's the teacher in me. Stuff
I love it.
People to remember.
Yeah, that's what I do. I make up quotes, like different sayings, so that it'll implant in my brain, and I write it down, and then I share it with others, and then I use it to write my blogs because I know I'm going to need it.
Yes.
Later on, I'm like,
well, that's what this whole book is about. My book is all about what I needed to remind my freaking self of.
Awesome.
That's what the book is. Okay, the book is called Why Struggle? Life is Too Short to Wear Tight Shoes. And it is filled with 25 what I call why struggles. When I came up with the book in 1999, but I re-released it in 2017 after I had my experience with my mom living with me. Because when I wrote the initial book, I didn't do anything personal with it. I really just wanted it to be information about how to manage this unpredictable thing called life. So I wanted to have topics. So can I read one? I'll open up. I like to open up to whatever comes up. And it's always appropriate.
I love your glasses.
Thank you. These are my cute readers. If I must wear readers, they must be cute.
I respect that. That is awesome.
You're too young to know about readers right now, but you'll get there, girl. I'm
sure I will. They're going to be bright and pink or something. I don't know.
So this topic is called This Moment.
Okay.
Stop. And it's appropriate. What are you doing right now? What you're doing right now is this moment. If you're reading or listening to this book, be in the moment. Pay attention to what is now, the present moment. If you find your thoughts drifting back to the past or into the future, stop and breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. Conscious breathing connects you to the present moment. Feel all the emotions life has to offer: joy, pain, sorrow, happiness, peace, etc. The past is over. No matter what is happening, I guarantee you will feel another emotion before you even realize it. The future is not certain. You only have this moment. There will never be another moment like this one. And they all have a practice and an affirmation. So the practice is, for one day, take the time to notice things around you. Be in each moment by stopping during the day to be aware of your breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Take a slow drive, look at nature, and revel in the beauty that surrounds you. And the affirmation is, I feel all the elements of this moment and revel in the beauty of life. And so it's 25 topics like that. And they range from forgiveness to you can't make anybody fill in the blank to you are not alone, love yourself. So those are the topics in the book. And they're just when I really created the book, it was really like a channeled experience. I'm like, what? This life thing is kind of interesting. What do I need to remind myself of?
Yeah.
So I don't go crazy. And so I literally start writing them down. And what inspired me was the book by I think it's Jackson Brown, Life's Little Instruction Book. It was like a book that had one line on a page. I was like, I can do more than one line on a page.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, it's like, it's Life's Little Instruction Book. And that's inspired me because I was like, I can do more than a line on a page. I can put a paragraph on a page.
Did you say that it's just one line?
On a page. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're good lines. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying them, but I mean, but it just inspire, and that's what I'm saying. Things inspire you along the way. And I thought, wow, I can do more than that. And so that's how I came up with that. And then I thought, why do we struggle so much with life? And we struggle with life because we're trying to control stuff that we don't have the ability to control.
Yes.
The C word. The C word.
Say that again. Control.
Who's in control? Nobody.
Okay. Exactly. It's so interesting. I feel like, for me, and I'm sure others feel like that there's these moments that happen. You're like, okay, that shouldn't be like that. That needs to be like this, and we get distracted from the actual moment and that present time.
Yeah.
And just see it for what it is. We're trying to make it into something else. It's like it happened already. It's not going to change. The only thing you can do is focus on now. That's something I had to remind myself, that I'm trying to remember what I said to myself now. All right. Because I was sitting, in my room and I have this chalkboard wallpaper that I have in a little square, and I put like different affirmations on it just to see it first thing in the morning, just like boom, just so you know. That's me. It's kind of, when you said that you need God to just like smack you in the head, that's what I need, because I'll be like going and going. I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, and then come back again, and I'm still going, and he's like, stop.
Like, what do I have to do? Right?
Yeah. You have to push me back like this.
Right.
I'm like, okay,
I can do that. I'd rather not, but I can.
It's like, do I have to? All right, I get it. Okay.
Uncle, aunt, cousin. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to see the. I said thinking delays and action pays. And I mean that in multiple ways, of course.
Yeah.
But I had to remember that, because I am such a deep thinker, which is my superpower, but it also could be my fault as well, because I'm like, did you really mean that? Is that the emotion that it was
that can take
driving
you down so many rabbit holes, and you can just get stuck.
The rabbit hole is so big. I'm in a black hole right now in the middle of the I don't know what is happening sometimes. And that's the thing. It's like, it's great for like my writing and things like that. But then I have to remind myself not to apply it to everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then I get distracted and I'm just like, but what if it's, and I read a lot too. So you can only imagine the dots are just starting to, appear. And it's like, Stacey, it wasn't that.
What may help you, which helps me, is give yourself, or at least I give myself, time to do things, right? So like, there are times I don't read anything. There are times I don't read anybody's stuff. I'm just, I'm applying what I've learned, because, we can get in the cycle of reading, and then never really fully applying the things that we learn and reading, right? So I have to go, you know what, I'm not reading anybody's stuff right now. Like, if I'm in the creation process, like when I was doing my book, I didn't read anybody's stuff. I don't want anybody's stuff interfering with what I'm trying to create, right?
Right.
And so I don't do it. And so then I give myself these times, like we're into fall. I crochet as a habit, as a hobby.
Yeah.
And so I would beat myself up because I found that I wouldn't crochet in the summer and in the fall, in the spring, because it's beautiful outside and I want to be inside crocheting. But when it's fall, it's like, you need to be home anyway, because you need to be chilling out and relaxing. Think of what the fall is about. It's about coming in. It's reaping the harvest of all that stuff you did when you were out in the spring and the summer.
Yes.
And now reap the harvest and relax.
Yes.
And start planting more seeds, right? So that's when I crochet. When the weather gets cool,
yes,
I start to crochet. And that's always my time to go, okay, calm down. Get your crochet. Start crocheting. So I would give myself that time, as opposed to beating myself up because I didn't do it year round.
Yes.
And so that helps me not beat myself up as much. It's like, well, it's fall. So, I'm getting to crocheting. I do have my new cards that are out. So that's why I haven't gotten into crocheting, because I'm still in the, kind of
creation.
Cards are now available. Yeah. I'm still in the publishing and marketing part of that. So, but still, I still have to stop.
Yes.
to stop and just go, you know what, girl, go sit down somewhere.
Yeah.
You're doing the most, Barbara. I do, and I have my friends that go, you're doing the most. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not aware. You just get in that
exactly.
cycle.
Yeah.
And it's like, remind me to just stop doing the most,
Yeah. My mom's going to love this episode. She watches my show every Wednesday when I air it, and she crochets. Like,
love it.
She loves to crochet. I remember crochet, knit. She made my sweaters.
Nice.
Man, I had some cool sweaters. I remember she's going to reminisce now. I had the one with these crayons on it, like all colors and everything. I was like, yeah. My whole sleeve was a blue crayon. I was going to school like, nobody sells this in the store, man. Oh, man. She's going to love this episode. But yeah, I had to realize too, even, in my upbringing, I realized that was my mom's meditation.
Mm-hmm,
and it almost creeped me out, Auntie Barbara. Let me tell you, it almost creeped me out because she was sitting there. You just see her hands going like this, and she's watching Oprah.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, she's at it like that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Look, when I go play, when it's fall and like, when I got married, I'm Auntie Barbara too, because I didn't have children, but I have two bonus sons. When I got married, I got two bonus sons. Awesome. And so we would go to, he's 17 now, but I remember the youngest one, his name is Dwayne. We would go to his basketball, and sometimes we'd be there like it felt like all day. So I have my bag, a real crocheter and knitter. We have like a bag. You ready to go back? You just grab that bag and you just roll out, right? So I grabbed my bag, if we had a drive, sometimes it'd be a 45-minute drive to get to the game. I'm crocheting, because it keeps you sane. It really does, and so there's the physiological impacts of crocheting, which is meditative. We're doing meditation. One of my favorite definitions is by from Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. He says, meditation is paying undistracted attention to the present moment. So when I'm meditating, I'm focusing, I'm crocheting, I'm focusing on that. Yes. And so you're paying, undistracted attention to that task. And I crocheted ear warmers and scarves and, look, my friends, I'm like, do you need an ear? Okay, what color you want? You want black? Okay.
Yep. Hat. You need a hat? I got a hat. You need a new doily? You got doilies? All right, we're gonna make your living room
meditative. And so what it's doing is calming you down. It's calming you and keeping you in that good space. So yeah, that's beautiful that your mom crochets like that. I didn't did like a sweater or anything, not for.
Yeah, she did it all. Tablecloths, curtains. Got hummingbirds because my parents are from Jamaica, so they got crocheted sleeves for the pillows in the living room. Got a hummingbird on, like everything.
Wow,
everything.
Master crocheter, go mom.
Master, yes. But I noticed that in your profile here. I was like, oh, you crochet?
Yeah,
like shout out to Auntie Barbara.
Yeah, salsa dancer, crochet, meditation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you got into salsa dancing.
Oh my gosh, I discovered salsa in the 90s. One of my dear friends invited me out, and I'm not the club girl. I'm like, I really don't do clubs. She said, well, let's do something. So we ended up going, and I fell in love. I fell in love with the music, and because, at least back then, I can't say now because I haven't been out in a couple of years now because of COVID. I'm not ready. I'm not dancing with a mask on, so I'm not ready to be that close to something. My husband doesn't dance that way. So because I'm serious about my salsa dancing, when I go, I'm not trying to play. I try to get my exercise in.
Trying to get them dips in.
I'm trying to get my exercise in. That's why, so we went out, and then I was like, I really enjoyed this because it wasn't typical club. The way it is set up. The way it was set up here is that they'd have classes from like 9 to 10, then the club would open. And people would live, it's a community, right? So you get to know the community. And so I fell in love with it. And it feels very natural to me. It speaks to me. So listen, I did one of those 23andMe. I was a little disappointed. I just knew I had something in my background. Because I'm so drawn to it.
Right.
I was like, what? Nothing?
like, that's it? 99.9%.
I don't believe you. I do not believe you.
That's hilarious.
But I tell you now, you play a salsa song, my ears will go.
Yeah.
And I just immediately start moving.
Yep.
You know, and so I love the music. It is fun. It is engaging. Most of them that I know of, I like old school stuff. They're talking about love now. They're not talking about stuff like they talk about in regular music. You know, I can't get with that. So it's about love. It's all about love, you know, love, and, you know, or somebody trying to get somebody they love back. And, you know, and it's just the music itself, even if you don't have the words, it's
such a good feeling.
Yeah, it feels good. Exactly. It feels good. So that's how I got into it. And then I started going to the classes. And girl, I literally, when I was working for, who was I working for? I've worked so many different places. I was working for the TSA. I was actually
you were a TSA agent?
Listen, I was a contract trainer.
Okay.
So after I left corporate, I started doing some training on my own, and I trained for TSA. Wherever we traveled, I was like, I have got to find a salsa spot. We went to LA, wherever we went, awesome. I would be at a salsa spot because that's, you know, back in the early 2000s, because I was so connected to it. And I'm like, I would be out here, we go out on a Wednesday, so we were going out Friday. Okay. All right. See, you know, that's just how it was, you know, and of course, you know, you get older and you just like don't have time to do all that stuff. But, you know, when you're do that stuff when you're in your 20s and 30s and 40s, because, you know, life changes.
It does.
Or we have COVID, which changes.
Yeah.
You, so.
Exactly. And I love that you said that you took lessons, because I took lessons a couple years ago, too. I remember, you know, I guess I from a long time ago, I thought I didn't know myself, but I do, you know, and I know that if I stay like away from humanity, I'm going to stay there, and no social skills are going to grow. Like I'm just not going to be a good communicator because I'm not around people. So I said, I gotta get around some people. So I went online, I went on meetup.com, and I was like, something challenging, salsa dancing.
I love it.
Because I love music. I love to dance. I get that from my parents. My dad used to be, I guess you want to say, a DJ in Jamaica too. My brother did it as well. My mom loves music, but all I listened to was gospel, reggae, dancehall, and maybe a little bit of R&B, and that was it. So when I heard like Latin music, whether it's bachata or salsa music, I was just like, that is amazing. And, you know, I'm over here dancing like it's reggae, you know, trying to get down. And I'm like, okay, there's got to be something else. So I go to one of these things, and let me tell you, it's one of those places where, you know, it's in a gym. So, you know, the gyms have different rooms and things like that. So I walk in and everybody's spinning around and everything. I'm like, I don't know about this. Well, you know, once they broke it down, like, granted, I stepped on a couple of toes. You know,
it's a process.
It's a process, but eventually, once I got it, I was like, okay, we're going from now on. Anywhere we go, they have to have salsa dancing. Like that's just what we do now. We don't do reggae anymore.
Yeah, like, it's such a. It feels so good, and it's such a connecting experience. I remember when my husband, when we were dating, he knew I went out dancing. And so I'm like, okay, I was going for my birthday. And so I don't know if you've ever been to a salsa, when they do birthdays, they do a circle around you.
I haven't. Oh, okay.
Oh my God. So I had to warn him. I'm like, okay, so listen. I just have to let you know that it's called the birthday dance, right? And so you're in the middle, and then all the guys circle around you and they take turns dancing with you. It is a beautiful experience. And so I said, so listen, I have to let you know there ain't nothing going on with none of these guys, but this is just, and I love it, you know, and the guys that we dance with, we have a community of guys that we dance with. We love, I get in my head and get out of my head so much, and I feel so much that the guys know that when we dance, they just let us feel it. You know what I mean? They're not trying to do 5,000 turns because
No.
we're not going to do it. We are
Right.
feeling the music, and it really is such a beautiful experience. So I said, I have to warn you, we do this thing called the salsa dance circle. Don't be alarmed because it's gonna be like 10 guys dancing
Like,
around me.
what?
Right, right. I don't want you going like, oh, what in the heck is going on over here?
And
right?
you know him too, huh?
You dancing with him and him and him and him. What? You know, it is a beautiful experience. I said, but all of these guys are like my brothers, but we're dancing
Yeah.
together. And I love it. And so, normally the place we would go, you would request the song and they would play the song that you liked for your birthday dance.
Oh,
and so we'd have
awesome.
someone say, birthday dance.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so he was like, baby, that was really beautiful he enjoyed watching me really enjoy dancing because he knows he was new. He still is. He's not a salsa dancer per se. He will occasionally go, well, baby, show me how to move. It's just not his thing. It's okay that it's not his thing, right?
Yeah.
It's okay that it's not his thing. So, but I love that he is not bothered by the fact that I can just go, like I'll say, well, honey, I'm gonna go out dancing. And I'll say, well, I'm going to be out. I'm not going to be out late. And he's like, you're not going to get here at 2:00 in the morning. You're going to sleep all day today. Because that's just that's where I am in life. It's like, we don't get out much, but when we go, man, the feet are going to hurt. We're going to sleep all next day. But it is such a wonderful, and I'm so glad that I stepped out of my comfort zone.
Yes.
Because I'm not a club girl. And but like you said, it's more of a community.
Yeah.
And so you can connect with those people in the community. And so I had a group that we would dance with. It was mainly all African Americans, and my girlfriend created the Afri Salsa group. And so whenever we go, people always they're like, look at it, who are them Black people over there dancing?
They doing the turns too.
We ain't got a spot of any kind of Latinos in us. It's just like feel it, and so we just have a good time. And it's so it's just one of my favorite things to do. So I look forward to being able to dance without a mask. And we always say, and somebody's going to get hurt. Someone will be hurt.
Such a beautiful experience. It was really enjoyable. And you learn about yourself because you're trying something new. It's something you're not familiar with. And anytime I did go, the community is so supportive and they're very nurturing. They'll help you.
Yes.
And you don't feel like an outsider. You feel a part of this family.
Yeah. It is. It's a beautiful experience. Where are you located, Stacey?
I'm on Long Island in New York.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I went to, this is a great story. I went to New York to visit a friend of mine in Brooklyn. And again, this was, I don't even know, 2000 something. And the Copacabana is in New York.
Yep. Definitely been there.
I was like, I am going to have to go. I'm going to New York. I have got to go to Copacabana. He's like, Barbara, I'm like, listen, I'm going to come hang out with y'all. And then I'm going to take the train and go down to the Copa. And he's looking at me. He's like, you're not from New York. Okay, where I'm from. I'm going to, I cannot go to New York, not go to the Copa. Right. I'm like, no, I'm going. And so I ended up going, I ended up going. And his girlfriend at the time was like, I need you to call me when you get home, back to the hotel, because you're going to be out late. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. I got so lost because I took the train back to where I got off at the wrong stop.
No.
It's like 2:00 in the morning. I'm walking around.
Asking people, y'all know what
totally. It's 2:00 in the morning, like on some side streets. And I'm just
you don't want to be on any side streets.
Yeah, but I'm like, I got off on the wrong subway stop.
Oh.
And
wait, so you never made it?
Oh, no, I made it to the Copa when I left. I got up on this wrong stop to get off at whatever hotel I was staying at. And so I wandered around the streets for a while. I was just like, can you please give me a cab or something? Because at this point in time, it wasn't a lot of cabs.
Yeah, you got to get back on the main road.
Right. So I'm like, man, I'm really getting lost. So I finally got the cab. And he's like, no, I don't know I'm around the corner. If I knew I was around the corner, would I have stopped you? Come on, dude.
That'd be so funny.
So then I
get in a cab, they're just like,
right. He's like, yeah, you're right. I don't know where I am. I'm lost. That's why I called. That's why I'm hailing the cab, right?
Right. Exactly.
But it was an experience to remember. You know, I had a good time. I danced with some people, and you know, then people find out I was from Georgia. You know, so and it is even at the Copa. You know, as large as it is, you know, you connect with people, and you know, and I would get a lot of I would get a lot of people that would watch me dance and would go, "You from Panama?" And I guess because of the short hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Georgia. Georgia? You're from Georgia?
What did the 23andMe say? No Panamanian? Nothing.
No Panamanian, girl, nothing. Nothing. Disappointing.
Oh, darn. Yeah, it used to be open because I went there once, like literally, I think maybe once or twice. Because I feel like I went there once, like on a regular night, and then
they used to have live music, and when I went, it was a live band, and it was
Trey Songz performed there one time. That was an interesting show.
I was going to say I would have been a little disappointed unless he was doing some salsa. See, listen, don't play with my salsa. I don't.
You can be like,
salsa. I don't want nothing but salsa.
Right.
I don't get out much.
Right.
And so I don't want to go and listen to other stuff. I want to go get my dance on.
Yeah.
You know, and leave.
Yeah, absolutely. That same here. Like I was always going out every Friday. That was my thing. Like, okay, we got to go out dancing. If I'm not leaving sweating, like dripping sweat, I didn't have a good night.
That's right.
Didn't have a good night.
That's
so I would always go out. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I used to go to these clubs. I remember leaving like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, getting home at 5 in the morning. Now I think about it, like if somebody were to say the C word to me, I'm like, no, I'm not going I could be in my bed, on the couch. Like I never thought like I would ever stop. Like I really, like, I was having so much fun. And sometimes like, it's so funny because I have these moments where I'm just like, man, I haven't been out in a while. And things are starting, things are open. Like I could go out. I'm like, no.
Nah.
What's on Hulu tonight? Like, I don't want to.
I don't want to. I'll pass. Thank you.
Never thought I would ever be here, like, where I would be like, no thanks. So funny. Now
the evolution process, the growth and evolution process.
Yeah, it's so funny. I remember I was talking to my brother a couple weeks back, and he was just like, "Oh, please, you're never gonna sit down. You miss Stacy dancing, always partying." I was like, "Nah, a lot has changed. A lot has changed." I'm like, "And it's cool."
Yeah, you remember that commercial? I forgot what it is. It was like, "No, we're never having kids. We're never having kids." And you see them with the kids. No, we're never. Yeah, okay.
Like we're never gonna do that. Yeah, now you're like 7, 8 kids in.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, sure, you're not.
Exactly.
Never.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I never thought I'd get married either. So it's like, yeah.
You know, it's so funny that you say that. I was going through my computer and I was always recording videos, whether it was on a phone, a camera, like always. And I read something like, I'm not married now, but I did say, I was like, I am never getting married. You know how Facebook shows you something you said like 12 years ago? And I'm just like, who's that person?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I never say never, because you just never know what you may end up doing. I never thought I would be teaching meditation. I mean, where in the world did that come?
Going from being an engineer, that's what I found so profound or interesting about your story, because I'm like, how does somebody, in this corporate world and being an engineer, like people, once you say engineer, they're like, oh, you're an engineer, huh? Like, you know what I mean? So, I like, so it's just like a gradual change for you where it wasn't like an abrupt, like I'm done. It was like a gradual transition.
I graduated from Tuskegee with electrical engineering. And I knew when I graduated, I was not going to continue to be an engineer. I just knew that was not what I needed to do. But I've always been strategic with things. I'm like, well, with an engineering degree, I can go to law school. I can go, there's so many paths that can open up with that, right? Because when you understand that it's, especially then, it was really about just get that degree. Get the degree and then allow things to open up for you. So I did the engineering thing. I did IBM. straight engineering for like a year and a half and was like, this cannot be what I came here to do on this earth. Even at 23, I knew that. I'm like, this ain't it. So I navigated even with IBM because IBM was sending engineers back into the field because they needed the people that worked on these products to be able to maintain them and all this kind of stuff. So I moved from the engineering core support engineering into being in a role where I was working with people and working with a marketing person and helping install products. So that was more in line with me because I'm more of a people person at that time, right?
Yeah.
So it allowed me to go and work with customers, help them plan and implement their systems. Plus I did the training I shared earlier. And so, yeah, so I did that. And then I did that for 7 or 8 years in Tampa. I was in Tampa. I had my grandparents were down in Tampa and I was like, oh, I can go down to Tampa. Did not like Tampa. And so that's how I ended up here. And then, so I, ended up back and forth with IBM over a period of years and then got into recruiting. I always wrote. I was always a writer. So I did some writing and, just kind of navigated through different things. Like I said, boomer with a whole lot of millennials like, this ain't working. I don't like this. You know what I mean? Now, and then I got into doing more contract stuff because I've always enjoyed teaching and training. My parents were teachers. My father was a librarian. Okay. My mother was a second grade teacher, but they always told me, because if you think about it, in their generation, that's what you could do. You could be a teacher. You could, it's like there's so many other things you can do. Don't limit yourself to teaching. But I always enjoyed sharing, right? I like to say, here's another one: LLL, a lifelong learner.
Yes.
LLS, a lifelong sharer. So that's just natural to who I am. So, but I knew I didn't want to be a school teacher. Like in the classroom with students, like young people. I love young people. I'm not trying to teach them. It's just not my gift.
Right.
You got to know, it's like, if you're not in high school and I can talk to you like an adult, I'm not the one to be teaching you. That is not my gift, right? Now, if you can understand what I'm saying and you don't have a mouth, I can talk to you. But yeah, that elementary school, that's a gift, to be able to teach at that level. And so I knew that. And so then I got into training. So I decided I wanted to try my hand at training. I was involved with Toastmasters. So I was speaking.
Oh, really?
Places. Yeah. Awesome. I got involved with Toastmasters in the 90s. And so I got into training at a school here called Advanced Career Training. And I got to train. And so I got to do that teaching. I got to fuel that teaching. And then I did my own personal development stuff. Of course, had the books. So that was also adding to that. And then that's kind of how I navigated into doing that. But I navigated into meditation from writing because I was in a writing group and they kept saying, you need to be still. What in the world are you talking about? What is that about?
What you writing like this?
I'm just supposed to sit. And keep in mind, this again was in the 90s. There were no books. It wasn't all over. There was no internet for it to be all over. Right. So I literally had to go to a bookstore to find something on meditation, which it wasn't anything out there. There was a cassette called Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawain. That was it. And the meditation was 30 minutes long. And I was like, just stick me in the eyes. I'm like, there ain't no way I can sit for 30 minutes. What?
That's hilarious.
I tried.
Okay.
And I continued to try, and I just continued. I'd sit down for a few minutes and I try to do it. And plus, some people have the ability to visualize. It's not my gift. I hear or I feel, but I don't see. If you tell me to go imagine myself on the beach, I'm like, okay, in your mind, I'm not seeing anything. I'm seeing
like I don't smell salt water. I don't.
So I didn't, gravitate to that. But so what I did was I said, because in the book I have 5 short meditations, and then I created my own CD called Be Still, Learn to Meditate in 10 Minutes a Day. And so it's 10-minute segments because people can tolerate 10 minutes.
Yes.
And so I had, that helped me. And so that's kind of how I got into that. But, it's interesting because when you start looking at electrical stuff, and understanding that we're energetic beings. I mean, we're all electrical energetic beings, right? And so when you look at the word Om, when you meditate, om, it's the same as the
Om.
word om in
Yep.
electrical. It's just the H is missing, right? So
Interesting. Yep.
so it's all connected.
Absolutely. And
It's all
that's
connected.
what we start to realize, that everything is connected,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
everything there's a relation to the next thing. And that's how
Mm-hmm.
that's how we develop. That's how we grow. That's how we
Right.
expand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually did one of that 1 minute meditation that's on your website. I was like,
Okay.
let me just see. I was like, let me. So I did it this morning. It's so funny because my girlfriend's next to me. She's asleep, and I'm there, and you're like, all right, we're going to do 3 breaths and make that sigh. And I'm like, I don't want to wake her up. So I'm like,
Yeah.
But what I liked about you, because I do meditate,
Mm-hmm.
and some meditation is guided that I do, some is silent.
Mm-hmm.
What I liked about your meditation, it's brief,
Mm-hmm.
and it's easy, and it's a lot of it's breath work, but it reminds you to kind of just, like you said, be still and
Mm-hmm.
just be here right now.
Yeah.
Don't think about yesterday, today, what you don't know what's going to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
appreciated that moment. So thank you for that moment this
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
And
You're welcome.
I was like, all right.
Yeah. Thank you for doing it,
Yes.
because that's what, and I tell people, trust me, meditation is it's a wonderful tool, but that does not stop you from getting aggravated and pissed off and anything
Exactly.
else.
You're still gonna be you.
You're still gonna be you. You're still gonna have stuff happen,
Right.
and I could just tell you story after story. But I remember one time my son at 17 was living. He must have been about 15 or so, and I was about to go drop him and take him someplace, and he had worked my nerves, as 15-year-olds will do. And we were in the car, and then we were going to meet his dad someplace because it was some kind of sports thing.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad, well, I'm in the neighborhood, so we're sitting in the car. I said, well, your dad's gonna, come get you, and he's gonna take you. And so he's trying to get out the car. I locked the car because he had aggravated me so bad.
You were like,
I locked the car. Oh no, this is when you ride in the car with Miss Barbara, you get to hear all I want to say. So I just started going off. And I'm highly right. I'm like, and I'm highly meditated.
Ooh.
And he kept trying to. I'm like, nope, I'm not done. And I just so what I say that to share that, but what happens is you recover from that kind of stuff quicker because you realize it just really wasn't that. It wasn't that serious.
Not worth it.
It wasn't that serious. But you also remind yourself that you have a young person that you're also trying to model and also set boundaries. So it was a combination of you need to understand that these are boundaries, and I want you to understand the boundaries. And that, yes, while I do meditate, I still am human. I remind them that I still have feelings. Yep. You can't act like I don't have feelings because I do. And so that's the thing. But I just recover quicker from that. And I know tools that help me shake stuff off,
Exactly.
And that's what and that's really, that's the thing that I love about the practice is that when you get in that practice, you recognize there's songs I can put on that help me shift when I'm in a funky.
Yeah.
I was just funky. Nobody did anything. It was just like, oh, I just need to go to bed early because I just know I need to just go to bed early. And so I did. I took a bath and I went to bed early. I'm like, oh, but that happens once every, whenever. It doesn't happen like all the time. And I recognize it. And I'm like, you know what? I tried tapping. I call it bapping when it's that point. It's like, that's not helpful. Okay, that's not helpful. Okay, just take a bath. I took a bath.
Yep.
And I went to bed and I woke up today. It's a new day.
Yep. Find out what you need. Take a minute to ask yourself what's going on. Yeah, and use it. I think that's the thing too. And I like that feedback, as far as, because I think for me, like I'm in that creative space where I'm in the process of, now I'm going to be writing 2 books, creating a course, building out the show, building out another show. Like I'm in that.
Doing the
most, Auntie Barbara. So.
All right, Niecy. Take it easy on yourself. Look, there's plenty to be done.
So it's like, I want to do it all, but I know I'm only one person. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, it's a one step at a time process. Mm-hmm. And then also it's, what did you say earlier? Hold on. I got it. I just lost it. Oh,
You're
you
doing
were
the most.
I'm doing the most. Exactly. It's like, but I like that you said you don't read like other things, in that creative process because I love YouTube. YouTube taught me how to do my show. YouTube taught me how to do a lot of things.
Mhm.
I call it YouTube University. I am a
Absolutely.
constant
Absolutely.
studier. You
Mhm.
know, I have
Mhm.
my master's. I'm getting my master's.
My master's in YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, my master's in YouTube. So
Yep. Yep.
I love, studying habit forming behaviors and why humans do certain things. And
Yeah. And there has to be a cutoff, though. There has to
that's
be
I'm
an
just like, yo,
opportunity for you to
stay away
stop and to just say, okay, now I've learned these 25,000 things. So which of the 5,000 of the 25,000 or 5 or 10 am I going to incorporate? I mean, that's the
from
practical part of
reality.
me. And I'm grateful to have that practical part,
Yes, yes, yes.
because otherwise, it really is just like you're underneath just like a waterfall all the time if you don't stop.
Mhm,
You're underneath the waterfall and you're trying to figure out why you can't breathe.
mhm.
It's like because you can't with the waterfall on your head unless you have a
Right,
mask on, right? So,
right.
we have to recognize that. And that is, I think that's one of the challenges that we'll see with the younger generation is that they don't know how to turn that off.
Yeah.
They don't know how to step away necessarily
Mhm.
from it um,
Right,
without feeling FOMO, right? Fear of missing out.
right.
And then you got social media that's like telling you you're missing out all the free time
Mhm.
anyway,
Look at this
right?
car I got. Look at this house. I got this dog. It's imported.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I'm looking at because I'm looking going, I ain't gonna be no separate celebrity showing you my house. You must
Yeah.
be crazy.
Opening your closet door, Auntie Barbara.
Yeah, no, no, no. I'm like, are you crazy? Because there are people that can find you.
Yeah.
It's what
Isn't
I'm
that a little
saying. It's
creepy?
like, hmm?
Isn't that tell me that's not creepy? Just a little bit.
Well, we're in that voyeur society, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, it's even with me sometimes, one of my things that I tell my group, because I do have a group of people that meditate with me, and even the people that don't meditate with me every day, it's still a bunch of people out there in my group.
Mm.
I will be personal, but I will not be intimate with you.
Mm.
I will be
Mm.
personal, but
Mm.
I will not be intimate. I'm not going to be showing you intimate parts of my life and sharing intimate. I'll tell little stories like about my son or even about my
Yeah.
husband. Because like one time he came here, I was aggravated about something. You're married, you
Right.
got a partner, you're gonna be aggravated at some point in time. It's just
Right.
part of the growth experience for us all. And he
Absolutely.
came and he started walking. My space is not that large. And I'm like, honey, what are you doing? Well, I'm looking for my wife. Your wife is right here because I think I had showed him a side he had not seen. And I was like, she's right here.
He sounds like he has a good sense of humor like you.
He has a great sense of humor. He has a great sense of humor. He has a dry sense of humor. And sometimes I have to remind myself, it's like, oh, that sense of humor. Because I'm very logical and like,
Yeah.
and then he'll say something. I'm like, you're joking. Okay. Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, are you joking? And he will never let on if he is. And I'm just like,
He'll just walk away.
but I look at these opportunities because they're all opportunities to see the mirror, right? To see
Yes. Yeah.
myself in someone else or what I'm denying in someone else. It's all of that. And so when, when I got married and when I had the, 2 bonus sons, I just remind myself, I had pretty much probably, I'm not saying I have grown as much as I could grow, but I had grown, because
Mhm.
I loved my life. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I loved being single and I loved
Mhm.
being in a relationship. And so it's like, well, let's see how we can continue to grow.
Yeah.
Oh, how about getting married and having 2 kids, 2 bonus kids? All right.
Yes.
How about getting married and having one of them come live with you, and then you got to stop doing the stuff you like to do because now you got to take care of. Oh, how
Yeah.
about
Sorry.
it's like, well, what else can I? What? How else can I grow? You're doing that now, and that's what it is. It is. It
Gotcha.
is the learning to be and learning to be with yourself through all of that, and give yourself the
Mhm.
grace that you need and the kindness that you need, and
Mhm.
all of that. because it's always a new experience when we open
Absolutely.
ourselves up for it, when we open ourselves up for the new experience. So, but I'm going to pull a card for you, my friend, with all of this going on. So, you may not know this, but I have cards that I use in my meditation.
Oh, let's do it.
And so the card that I pulled for the week, we pull a card at the beginning of the week. Where's my card for the week?
Okay.
The card that we pull for the week is kindness. Help others by being kind. Start by being kind to yourself. So that's from Melissa Reyes. She has a card deck called Inspired by a Year in Bloom. But my brand new card deck, which is called Relax, Listen, and Trust Your Inner Guidance. And as you can see, that is the cell phone, and that's the location thing to remind you to check your guidance. We're going to see what's coming up. What does Stacy need to be aware of?
Probably you're going to pull that Be Still card.
I actually don't have a Be Still card.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay.
There are 4 categories in this.
I'm even more curious now.
Yeah, there are 4 categories. It's a relaxed category, listen, trust, and then there's the question cards, because you have to ask yourself questions in order to go. So we're going to see what comes up for Tracy. What does Tracy need to be aware of with all that she's got going on with doing the most? And I can say that because the mirror is reflecting on me. Uh-oh, we got a couple cards fell out. Hold on, it fell out.
No worries. I love it. Man, that's why. Because it's gonna be the whole deck. Like, Stacey, we got 17 cards for you today.
Ooh. Stacey, you got the trust card. Ooh, this is a good one.
Oh, it's such a beautiful card.
Thank you. It's a beautiful butterfly. And as you can see, you might not be able to see all that, but
I see the butterflies.
The middle butterfly was my mom's in her house.
Yes.
My mom loved butterflies. This is always my little reminder of her. But
so
I chose the butterfly because, when the butterfly, we trust that little cocoon is going to turn into something as gorgeous as a butterfly, right? Yeah. We know we can't go poking the cocoon, right? Because we're going to mess up the process, right? We don't plant seeds tomorrow and expect a garden the next day. No, it's a process. So this is fitting for you. Everything happens in divine order.
What? This is amazing. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
So
thank you.
Release, let it go. Things happen as they're supposed to. Everything happens in divine order. Right?
This is amazing. Oh man. I'm going to tell you why this is so amazing. So there's no such thing as a coincidence.
No coinky dinkies.
There's no coinky dinkies because, okay, so I met this awesome podcaster named Phil Better. He's my Canadian buddy. Shout out to Phil Better. He told me about this website so I could start creating merch. He's like, Stacey, you got this awesome podcast. You don't monetize it? Like, what's going on? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I just want to share the message. He's like, you better share the message and monetize it.
You better share the message and make you some money.
Okay. So he told me about creating, merch. Mm-hmm. So I started to read the Bible. I know of the Bible, went to church in the past, and I never really read the Bible. And like I read a lot of texts. Like I'm not I don't consider myself a Christian. Like I'm spiritual. I like to read about different religions and different practices. So I've read the Quran so I started reading the Bible, and I forget the scripture, but I eventually came across putting on a t-shirt with my logo on the back. So it says Pryce on Purpose on the back, and on the front, it says Divine Timing. Because that was my reminder that everything happens when it's meant to happen. Yeah. So you just got to trust the process and have faith. And that's why I'm like, thank you so much for pulling that card, because you're just like, look, Stacey, you done told yourself. I'm reminding you to trust the process.
Trust the process. Yeah, let go of trust the process. It's and I like to use the
So
analogy.
funny.
You go to a restaurant, right? And
Yeah.
especially now, you appreciate being at a restaurant. Haven't been
Mm-hmm.
to a really nice one yet, but we'll have to schedule that. But especially if you go to a really nice restaurant, you're not ordering and going, let me go to the back and tell the chef what to put in my. Don't put that much salt. Why are you putting some? You don't do that. You trust
No.
that your food is going to come out.
Right.
Right.
True.
And you trust that if you say, can you substitute this, that I don't want spinach, I want kale, that they're going to bring kale and not spinach.
Yes.
So, it's part of the process, but learning to trust that internal guidance. And that's really what the cards are about. It's like, sometimes we just have to let go and know that everything is happening, and it is, because it is. If you know what you believe, and I believe that's one of my, at the beginning of my book, I talk about the things I believe. I believe everything happens in divine order. I believe that I'm where I'm supposed to be. The right people show up at the right time with the right, even with yours, because I hadn't been specifically trying to get on podcasts, and I saw something like, this sounds interesting. Okay, and now here we are. You know what I mean?
Beautiful.
But I don't actively go out and do it.
Right.
It's like, as I feel led to do it, I do it. And if I'm not led to it, I don't.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
It sounds beautiful. What was I reading? Or see, this is how I read too much, because I'm just like, it triggered something in my brain. And are you familiar with E.T. the hip hop preacher?
Yes.
Have you heard of him? Okay, so he was saying, he was talking about that C word control. And he was saying how, in his life, he was trying to control this and trying to control that. And he had his conversation with God, and God was like, you are not in control.
Hello. I don't know what made y'all think y'all were.
Yeah, he's like, you are not in control. He's like, I'm in control.
Yeah.
Not you. He's like, and he said, he put his hands up. He's like, all right.
Yeah.
All right. He's like, I'll tell you where you need to be.
You need that hit.
Yeah.
And I used to say, and I say it sometimes now, God controls, I manage. And some days I'm a really good manager of my life, and some days I'm not so good. You know what I mean? And so when I recognize that, and one of my girlfriends now, we talk about, we have our little deep conversations, and the challenge and the opportunity is, life is finite. The end game is ain't none of us getting out of this physical body alive. At some point in time, the physical body is going to go.
Yeah.
So, when I recognize, okay, I'm moving on that second half of life, right? So I have, however many years I have left. And so what do I want to do with those years? Because there is only a finite amount of things I can do. So where do I want to focus? Here's another one: my time, energy, and effort, my T. Where do I want to focus my T? The time, energy, and effort. Everything requires time, energy, and effort. Even if you say, oh, it's only part-time. No, part-time is still time, energy, and effort. You tell me I can do a part. No, I don't want to do anything that's not going to fuel what I'm doing. So right now I'm using my voice to heal, educate, and inspire. I do that by doing these cards, by doing my meditation, by, having these kinds of conversations, because there's only so many things I can do before I get up out of here. I went to Edwin Gaines is a spiritual teacher that she used to have a retreat center in Valley Head, Alabama. She's a little Southern lady. And she's like, now y'all, this is my last retreat. And we're like, what? I'm so glad I came. Because she's like, because I'm shutting my center down, because she was very clear. She says, I can't remember, I'm making up this number now. I have 33 things I want to do before I leave this earth. And I can't do that doing this retreat having a retreat every month. And she said, so I'm just going to leave it to God and know that whoever's going to buy this place is going to continue to do the work that I've done. And I'm so glad y'all are here. But I have 33 other things, or whatever the number was, that I want to do. And that just stuck with me a few years ago, because I'm like, she's right. We all have a finite amount of time. And there are times years ago, I was like, oh, I want that aquarium in me. I want to learn. I want to be fluent in this. I want to really. Not in this life. Maybe another
Right.
life, girl, but in this life, you're not going to be fluent in Spanish. You can get by in Spanish. You can understand
Mm,
things in Spanish, but the time, energy, and effort it would take for me to be fluent in Spanish, I don't have it. There
mm,
are too many other things that are priority right now. So
mhm.
learning to say, so what are those things that are really important that I can prioritize
Right.
right now? Because like these cards, I have been threatening to create cards since I started using cards 20 years ago. And I just never
Mm,
did it, never wanted to do it, never wanted to, because having a physical product sometimes can be a hassle. And I was just like, okay.
mm,
But the stars aligned. I found a lady who was teaching a class. I took the class, got involved. And next thing I know, now I have my cards.
beautiful.
Um,
Mm,
but again, it is like, because that was important enough for me to want to do it. Right.
mhm,
And so
mhm.
recognizing that there's so much out in this beautiful world that we can do. But now, where do I want to focus my time, my energy, my effort? That helps
Mhm.
keep me, focused on where I want to go next and what I want to do. And that's part of that guidance that we learn when we take the time to slow down and listen, ask the questions. When I came up with these, I had on the question card, I have the wise old owl, right? And
Yeah.
you may be familiar with this since you do a lot of text. You're familiar with the Course in Miracles.
Uh, no.
Oh, okay. Well, A Course in Miracles is a well-known spiritual text, and one of the things they say to help with guidance is to ask, "Where would you, meaning your higher power, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom?" And those are just really
Mm,
great guiding questions to before you do something. What would you have me do? Okay. Where would you have me go? What would you have me
mm,
say, and to whom? And
mm.
then that can guide you, kind of like, okay. Because sometimes we think we're going to go here, but we end up going there, right?
Yeah.
You ever had that happen? Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, we tune in, and we have a plan, and then plans change
Yes.
all the time, right? So,
Yes.
you know years ago, I stopped setting goals. I just say, well, my intention is to focus my energy and go in this direction. Now, as I'm
Yeah.
going in that direction, something may pull me over to the side because I'm listening to my guidance, and my guidance says, you don't need to go that way. Just go ahead and take that
Right.
right turn, go down the right. Because when I turn down the right, I'm going to have a whole new set of options for
Right.
me to go down, right? And so
Mm.
learning when to do that and when to just go stop you procrastinating. You're just not trying to, you just trying not to do what you need to do.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
I know that all too well.
it's a balance. And that's why
It is a balance. Yeah.
sometimes having people hold you accountable,
Mhm.
you know, um, because, and we're in this season, because I'm in the season now of navigating and not figuring, allowing,
Mm.
allowing myself to think about what I think 2020, looks like,
Mm.
what I think it looks like. It may
Or
not look like the 2022, that's the
2022.
2020, see, COVID hit. Yeah,
Come back. Come back with us.
I'm not going back there. But
Come back to
I tell you what, that allowed me to really focus on my voiceover stuff. So I'm grateful. There's
Mhm.
always something to be grateful for, even in those
Absolutely.
times
In
when,
every moment. Yeah.
that seems challenging. It's like,
Yeah.
I was able to stay home and really focus on my voiceover stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that, because if I was
Mhm.
out working in the streets, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah, it seems like everybody kind of had a moment to just stop for a second and realize
Hmm.
like what's serving me, what's not. Like
Hmm.
people started to really like fine tune what life is about, or just start to ask those questions. I
Hmm.
think we may have gotten caught up in the day to day, and we were
Hmm.
just focused on today and tomorrow, but not maybe is this where we want to be in the next couple of years?
I
You know
tell
what I
you what, I
mean?
was so, and I was telling my girlfriend, I'm like, I feel
Mhm.
like if I was feeling this way, other people would definitely magnify it. I was like, is
Just
this what this is
imagine.
supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be
Hmm.
getting up, going to work, fighting traffic, coming back home, take my son to basketball practice, wasting time for an hour and a half to go pick him up from basketball practice, coming back?
Hmm.
It's like, really? That's what I'm supposed to
Hmm.
be doing with my life? Oh, I just
Mm.
don't think so.
Yeah.
Whew. But
Yeah.
we get on that cycle, being in the rat race,
Yeah.
being on the wheel. Is like, something's got to give. This cannot
Yeah.
continue.
Right. Exactly.
And they
That's
didn't.
exactly where yeah, that's where I was. I literally left my job. I was just like, I want to do this or something like it, but not here. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I realized. And I'm very grateful for the transition because it helped me to kind of go back into who I am and why I am and what I'm doing with that.
Mhm,
Because
mhm,
I asked myself, like, what do you want to do? Like, you know, you
mhm,
love blogging, you write, you do this, you do that, but what is it
mhm,
all for?
mhm,
What is it
mhm.
all for? And I realized I was like, oh, I want to share the information. I want to share what I learned. I want to share. But then I realized I was like, okay, we can share it like this, and this, and this. I'm like, all right,
Yeah, yeah.
focus on one.
Yeah, exactly. And know that, give yourself permission to know that that may change as well, and to be
Mhm.
kind to yourself as you transition. Because we do what we do until we stop doing it, as corny as that sounds.
It's
We do
true.
what we do until we stop doing it.
Yeah.
Because like I navigated into doing the daily meditation thing because I remember going, wait a minute, what? I'm doing this every day? What? Huh?
Mm.
What really? That's eh, look,
What
every
year is it?
every day. Wait now. Look, every day I gotta do.
Every day.
Look, that is challenging for me
I
as an
can
Aquarian.
understand.
It's like, you may not
Mhm.
know this reference, but my girlfriend I was just talking about, my oldest and dearest friend, we talked about this
Mhm.
the other day. Do you know the Dunkin' Donuts reference of got to make the donuts? No, you don't.
Yes.
Oh, you do.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Okay.
It's funny because somebody else brought up to me a couple years back
Yeah.
and I looked at the
Yeah.
commercial and I was like, ah.
Yeah, she said I was talking to one of my coworkers and they didn't get it, Barbara. I'm like, girl, that's what we are. But
Yeah.
it's like in the morning when that alarm goes off at 6:15, I'm like, gotta make the donuts, gotta make the
Mhm.
donuts. But it's like we do the things we do. So it's like
Yeah.
recognizing that even though you may not think that it's gonna look a certain way, it's still
Mhm.
ended up doing what I'm doing, right? So it's like I had no idea that I would be doing a daily online meditation. And I don't see that changing unless I get some guidance to do it something different. I may
Mhm.
do something different with it, but I'll still do it daily because
Mhm.
I'm going to meditate every day.
Yeah.
It's just part of what I'm going to do every day.
Right.
And
It's
it's
like you're
become,
already doing it.
yeah,
Might
I'm
as
already
well
doing
share it
that.
with others.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Make it easy for yourself. Like, all right, we're doing this, but we're also doing this and this. All right,
Right,
cool.
right.
I can show up for that.
Meet me there. Meet me there. Meet me in the room. Yeah.